Commercial facial recognition software often achieves near-perfect accuracy for lighter-skinned males, but that same software fails significantly when evaluating darker-skinned females, with error rates spiking to 34.7%. This statistical gap represents a systemic civil rights violation embedded directly into our public infrastructure. Welcome to Wandt Courseware, an AI-narrated video series unpacking the latest lectures of Professor Adam Scott Wandt of the John Jay College of Criminal Justice in New York City. Artificial intelligence systems possess the capacity to codify, conceal, and amplify historically discriminatory practices. Navigating these systems requires bridging the technical origins of bias with the federal civil rights frameworks that assign legal liability. The rapid integration of machine learning algorithms into public service fundamentally upends our traditional legal definitions of equality and non-discrimination. Direct discrimination involves the intentional, disparate treatment of a protected class, a system explicitly designed to exclude. In contrast, indirect discrimination, or disparate impact, occurs when a facially neutral system inadvertently produces unequal results that disproportionately harm a protected group. This bias enters the algorithmic lifecycle through historical inequities already embedded within the original training datasets and flawed model assumptions. Because machine learning models function as opaque black boxes, tracking this disparate impact is exceptionally difficult for plaintiffs. Without rigorous intervention, algorithms function as engines that automate historical prejudice at an industrial scale, rather than acting as neutral arbiters. The landmark gender shade study provides the foundational proof of how intersectional accuracy disparities manifest in commercial AI. The research was led by Joy Buolamwini and co-author Timnit Gebru, who set out to evaluate commercial facial analysis software from major tech vendors. Their methodology bypassed simplistic racial categories, utilizing the Fitzpatrick skin type scale to categorize skin tones with clinical precision. Plotting gender against the Fitzpatrick skin type scale exposed how demographic underrepresentation translates into systemic failure. For lighter-skinned males, the classifiers were highly accurate, with error rates at just 0.8%. However, for darker-skinned females, performance degraded entirely, hitting error rates of 34.7%. This failure is a direct consequence of a lack of diversity in the training data used by the tech vendors. Using biometrics in public service without demographic validation creates a direct pipeline to civil rights violations in law enforcement and security. These failures extend into the labor market, where automated hiring systems and resume screeners now dictate employment opportunities. Algorithmic hiring is governed by the same foundational protections established under Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. In 2023, the EEOC issued technical guidance clarifying how adverse impact must be measured when employers use software, algorithms, and AI. Many human resource managers operate under the assumption that purchasing a proprietary tool from a third-party vendor protects them from legal blame. The EEOC mandates that employers and public agencies remain legally responsible for discriminatory outcomes, regardless of who designed the algorithm. Reliance on a proprietary black box offers no immunity from Title VII liability. If you buy the tool, you own the bias. The EEOC uses the 4/5 rule to detect disparate impact. The selection rate for a protected demographic group becomes the numerator. This is divided by the selection rate of the highest selected group. A ratio under 80% proves disparate impact and algorithmic discrimination. Once this threshold is crossed, the employer must legally justify the algorithm's use as a job-related business necessity. Federal law treats algorithmic fairness as a rigorous, auditable compliance standard rather than a simple statistical variable for engineers to tune. To protect citizens from these automated risks, the White House established the Blueprint for an AI Bill of Rights as the national standard for equitable deployment. The blueprint provides an administrative framework that mandates equity as a core performance metric for all public sector AI. The first pillar requires pre-deployment equity assessments to identify bias before a system goes live. The second pillar demands continuous mandatory bias testing across different demographic groups throughout the system's life. The third pillar necessitates incorporating public feedback and stakeholder consultation into the design process. Public administrators must shift their strategy from a pursuit of unchecked efficiency to a mandate of proactive civil rights compliance. Algorithms are mirrors reflecting the historical data and social inequities we feed them. For managers and analysts, algorithmic opacity is no defense, and vendors cannot absorb your constitutional obligations. Like, follow, and subscribe for more deep dives into emerging technology, digital investigations, and the ideas shaping our future. And remember, stay curious and want knowledge. The future of civil rights depends on our willingness to audit the invisible code governing our institutions.